When I share my story, it's about more than solving the mysteries of our solar system. I represent the curious spirit of the nation, the Choctaw Nation. I am our past. I am our present. I am our future. I am all of us. When we share, we become one because our stories make us more. Stories keep our culture alive. See them and share them at togetherwe'remore.com.
People don't know what it is to be champions. Oklahoma invented it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Through the Keyhole. Silence your Venmos! Turn them off! Turn them off! Do yourself a favor. And you don't have to share everything with everybody, kids. You know, there's something to be said about being mysterious, and that includes your transactional history. So please silence your Venmos for the duration of this podcast. We would greatly appreciate it. Your listening experience would be much better. I'm Brady Trantham with Through the Keyhole. What's up, everybody? Old friends and new. And I say old friends because we're starting to get a little bit of a extra trickle of patrons that they do the thing where they're patrons during football season, which makes a lot of sense. Then they take a break during the off season and they are starting to come right back. And we greatly appreciate that. Just off the top of my head, I remember seeing Grayson's name. So Grayson, thank you for coming back to patreon.com/throughthekeyhole. But we'll get to all that stuff in a little bit later. But like I said, I'm Brady Trantham. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's an Oklahoma football podcast. We've got three of the four horsemen tonight. Peyton Guthrie will not be with us tonight, but if you'll already notice the how long the duration of this episode, it's going to be a little bit longer because Peyton went ahead and recorded an extra bonus podcast that you can hear at the end of our show later on in about an hour and a half, however long it's going to take us to get through the John Mateer saga. But you can hear Peyton Guthrie with in his interview with Jack and Akshay from Game on Paper, at Game on Paper on Twitter for those that are interested. But look forward to that interview at the conclusion of me, Matt Burton, and Alan Kenny. But I already said their names. So Matt, unmute yourself and tell me how you're doing.
Hello, doing well, man. Ready to talk some football and other things and apps and stuff.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's good. Alan, frankly, it's Alan Kenny, everybody. Alan, I'm thankful that you're able to podcast considering that DC is under federal lockdown, and I'm assuming there's tanks in the streets, and you're having to like show your papers and your ID just to go to the gas station to get a Snickers.
Yeah, well, I mean, just a little peek behind the curtain. I don't live actually in DC proper, and so I am outside of the martial law zone. But I can attest that I was there. I was in DC for, a few hours on Sunday, and I thought things looked great, man. People were having a good time. The weather was nice. There was, like a big event. It looked like a charity event going on across the street where I was from, and people were streaming out of that kind of at the end, and everybody was in great spirits. I didn't see anything that would, lead me to believe that martial law is necessary there in our nation's capital. However, it's not my call to make, I guess.
No, unfortunately, it isn't. I mean, this whole time, that kind of ruins my worldview of you, Alan, because this entire time, knowing that you live in somewhere in the DC area, I've just pictured that you've lived in one of those $2, $3, $4 million bungalows that you see in House of Cards. I just pictured, that's where Alan lives, is that house. He podcasts in that room.
Indeed, yeah. I've got like a big pool in my backyard, and that's actually closer than the horse stables are. They're just a little bit farther back there, and
we got a little. Yeah, we get a little, like of all the OU podcasts, one unique thing about this one is we do have a little bit of coastal elitism on this show. So
The most
Alan,
elite. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Alan, live from his pool in his cabana in his backyard. Thank you for joining us. The housekeeping stuff. I already mentioned patreon.com/through the keyhole. Get to that in just a second. But the exclusive apparel sponsor of Through the Keyhole, that would be, of course, Home Field Apparel, which we have been excited for the last few weeks. They're doing their can't miss kickoff 2025, complete with the OU Platinum box. I mean, I think Peyton last week was talking about the heavyweight hoodie, so I'm sure he's going to be excited to roll into Norman wearing a hoodie in 100-degree weather in the next few weeks, whether it's for the Illinois State game or the Michigan game. Haven't got a chance to ask Peyton what his OU game watching schedule and plan is, but we'll get that started. But I will see him in a hoodie, and it's going to be 1,000 degrees. It's going to be terrible, but he's going to look good. That's the whole point. It's Home Field Apparel. You want to look good. We're all trying to make. Last year was a soft launch into the SEC, and now we're going to wear our Sunday's finest and actually have a quarterback and an offense to be proud of. Hopefully, knock on wood. So you want to look your best for the SEC. So go check out homefieldapparel.com. And speaking of platinum boxes, wanted to give a special shout out to another patron. Don't know if you want me to say your full name, so I'm just going to say Braylon R. If you don't care, I apologize for not giving you the full shout out, but I want to protect some privacy here because that is the theme of the podcast: is being private. Always be private in your life. But Braylon R. was the Through the Keyhole winner of the OU Platinum box from Home Field Apparel. Home Field Apparel, they've gone out of their way to make us feel welcome into their little, their little network. We're greatly appreciative of that. And they sent us a platinum box for free. And instead of Peyton just sitting on it and not telling anybody, he was kind enough to say, "Hey, let's give this away to a patron." And Braylon R. was the winner after tracking him down for a few days. He's all over social media, but he's not like the rest of us sickos where he's online the entire time. So I sent him a DM. Peyton sent him a DM on multiple platforms. We finally got in touch with him to get his size. So Braylon, thank you so much for being a Patreon subscriber to Through the Keyhole. We greatly appreciate that. Hopefully that's just a little extra token of thank you from all of us here at Through the Keyhole and Home Field Apparel as well. Patreon.com/Through the Keyhole for extra podcasts, written articles. Alan wrote something that we will talk about towards once we get into the OU meat of the show. We're going to discuss that, talk about college football widescape. Looking forward to that. Patreon.com/Through the Keyhole for all that extra stuff. We are doing a 25% off, code thing for this month. Use code Keyhole for 25% off on patreon.com. So, which I'm very happy that they're doing that. Patreon allows you to do that because when I started this in 2020 with Keegan Renault, that wasn't an option. And it was very annoying to go up to my friends and say, like, I would love for you to listen to this episode. Unfortunately, I can't just send it to you. You're going to have to send me $4. I'll Venmo you right back, and no one will know. Nobody will know. But yes, patreon.com/Through the Keyhole. Here's another call to action. We've got a new comment review on Apple Podcasts, got a 5-star review. Thank you so much for that one. We greatly appreciate that. It helps grow the show and get it out to more and more Sooner fanatics out there that we desperately want to be inside of their ears. So if you've not done so just yet, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. We would greatly appreciate it. Haven't had a chance to do this just yet, but I do want to ultra tease. I'm sitting on a bunch of random Keyhole, OU, and even some Home Field Apparel stuff that I just don't really want. And I want to try to give it back to some of our listeners. I don't know if this will be a Patreon giveaway or a ratings and reviews giveaway, but once we figure that out, I'll retroactively reward people depending on what we choose. So beat the rush now and help us at Through the Keyhole and leave a 5-star rating and review. We would greatly appreciate that. And that does it for the housekeeping portion of the show. But like we teased already, you know what the story of the day is, and it is John Mateer and his transactional history. Alan, I'll start with you because I was a little off, unplugged, if you will, last night. And the group chat on Twitter was ablaze by the time I stepped foot inside of it. And I honestly thought, are we really melting down because some 4-star receiver just chose Florida over OU? And as I read, I'm like, what? Venmo description? What? Oh no! What did John Mateer do? Oh no! And then it just became more and more clear. And I'll get to my thoughts. I've talked enough, but Alan, did you immediately hit the panic button, or were you just like, this is a big nothing burger, but let's just let the fans have their fun?
My first thought was this is nothing. And I mean, I've kind of stayed there. And the reason being, a Venmo description is far from like airtight evidence. um, you know, it clearly, I mean, these were legitimate, images or what have you. That part seemed pretty clear. But you can call it whatever you want. I mean, it's these aren't like receipts from like DraftKings or FanDuel. Again, if if we're talking about legit sports gambling here, and we didn't have dollar amounts for these transactions or anything. I don't know if John Mateer gambled on this in this one particular instance on this game or not. And frankly, I think if you're like going back through somebody's Venmo transactions 3 years trying to find something like this, and this is your smoking gun, like, and that's what ends up doing in John Mateer's season. I mean, you win. Like, congratulations, but you're also just a fucking herb, dude. Like, I mean, come on, man.
First
like,
F word wasn't me. Yes, yes, we did.
Well, I'm just saying, like, this is like very, very loserish behavior. Like, scanning through, this kind of stuff. Like, people, first of all, I mean, like, I sincerely, buy into the John Mulaney keep your shit private, but like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? Like, whatever. I mean, dude, yeah, okay. If he broke some rule and that's what, and he gets busted for it, like, the legion of losers out there who were on this. Congratulations,
Matt. You look like you're about to jump in.
Got me. The outrage to me is
this is a passionate thing for you.
Well, no, I mean, we started off the show talked about it sporadically throughout, but obviously, I mean, it was the biggest story around last night, and it happened to involve OU. So we were obviously going to start off the show talking about it, and immediately got a text in of like, you guys are beating a dead horse. I'm like, guy, we just got on 5 minutes ago. This is the only time we've talked about it, and we're not going to like beat it to death throughout. But also, hey, it was the biggest story and it involved OU. We're going to talk about it some. So just like strap in there. But my thing too, like kind of what Alan said, I mean, I echo everything he said, but like the outrage of like, oh, he needs to be banned. He needs to ban forever, all that stuff. My thing is like, if we're thinking about it, just sitting here thinking about it for 1 second, right? If it comes out, like, I don't even think there's going to be like an investigation really about this, because again, like Alan said, on a Venmo transaction, like, how is that going to, like, where's the paper trail? Like, I think that's end of paper trail right there. Like that.
Yeah,
that's where
like
it ends.
I know a lot of people who, if the Venmo notes are legal evidence, should be in jail.
Exactly.
Long periods of time.
Like another one that happened. It was like big cock or something like that. It was like that John Mateer had. Like, I mean, like my wife makes jokes on there all the time. Like, send me money, or like I'll make jokes in it. Like it's nothing. I get it. I'm also not a Division I quarterback. I get that. But my thing too, like if it comes back to where somehow the Roten dude that he was, I think there was an offensive lineman at Washington State, if it comes out that, oh, he had a DraftKings account and then there was money, or FanDuel, whatever, and there was money that was put down on this game and, all this stuff, then yeah, okay. That is a paper trail that I think would be a little bit weird. I think that should definitely get investigated, but like I just don't know if that's the case. Like none of us are gonna know, because It's a Venmo transaction. Now, if it comes out that they had that and John Mateer put in his title sports gambling, UCLA, USC, he's the dumbest motherfucker that's ever lived. If that happened, so I'm gonna go on the side. And also, my in the group chat there was a lot in the Senate, so we a lot about that. But I mean, just thinking about it, like if it's just me. Like me and us three, right? If it's us three sitting on the couch on a Saturday watching, like, and I'm like, hey guys, I'll buy the pizza tonight, or I'll buy the drinks tonight if USC wins, or if UCLA wins, you guys buy it, whatever. Like, I also don't think that's grounds for like, oh, this is some betting scandal that everyone deserves to be banned. Like, if it's just like between me and you. Like I don't get that at all. And again, I don't think anything's gonna come from this. Are you ready for the new era of sports in Oklahoma? Want to be ready for some real Southern football? Kaizen Performance in Norman, Oklahoma is your spot for physical and mental growth. By empowering a lifestyle of constant, continuous improvement, Kaizen Performance's gym experience lends itself from the experienced training fanatics to those who want to make a positive change in their lives and everyone in between. Come see their new location at 158 Armstrong Court in Norman, Oklahoma. With experienced trainers who understand that every client has individual desires and needs, in-person and online customized training programs and nutrition plans, Kaizen Performance has everything to offer for you to meet your goals. Again, their new location is 158 Armstrong Court, Norman, Oklahoma, 73071. Seriously, Brady works out there, and so does Peyton when he comes to home games. Come work out with us and get ready for the week-to-week grind of real Southern football. Kaizen Performance, Norman's own local gym where your goals are a workout away.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If he was betting thousands of dollars, I mean, I don't know if he was betting anything significant on this, and I mean that's a problem. It really is, and I firmly believe that players should be banned from betting on sports, betting especially their own games or any of that stuff. But like, good luck figuring that one out from this.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, look, everyone that's had an opinion on this matter that is either an OU fan or an unbiased media member, because I'm excluding the Texas fans, because an interesting part of this entire commentary is that we've spent 2-3 months of Texas fans just saying John Mateer ain't it, and he's not saving OU, and that Washington State kid isn't playing San Jose State anymore and stuff like that. It's not going to work in the SEC. And yet I'm seeing Texas fans like bust out the NCAA rules and highlight like line by line, like he needs to be put behind bars. Just put him in Guantanamo Bay. He's the worst criminal of the century. It's awful. So he sucks, but we don't want to play him is what I'm hearing from a lot of Texas fans, which is an interesting thing, but I just want to throw that out there. Yeah, I am also a dork because I have Venmo transactions with my friends with the description that says, what is it, like sodium hydroxide, lime, a bathtub, like a shovel, or stuff that just say totally not drugs. Yeah. I even have a friend who shall remain nameless, but his shtick is that he hates the Eagles because he watched The Big Lebowski one time and thought that was a funny line. And so I also hate the Eagles. So I Venmo'd him some money, and I put the entire lyrics to Take It Easy in the description. So these are not like it. As I've kind of grown, there are times where I have to make serious Venmo like exchanges of money. And that's when, just for my bookkeeping purposes, I will actually say what they are so that when I have to refer back to them, it's just easier to find instead of like sifting through a bunch of dumb bullshit. But again, life's too boring. Sometimes you make it fun. It seems like John Mateer just wanted to, like he said, have inside jokes and be fun like everybody else. Hell, I have technically committed an NCAA violation when I was a student at OU 10 years ago, I won't name the player, but I did buy a player who was over 21 and I was over 21. So no laws were broken, but I bought him a shot after a big win. And I didn't think of it as I'm committing a crime in the eyes of the NCAA. I just thought he's right there. I kind of know him and I bought him a shot. So rules are silly, but I mean, Alan's right.
Also too, I mean, him specifying a game, right? Like the day after the UCLA USC game. Like, I mean,
It's
he
so funny.
fully specified the game and said sports game. Like, let's say, like, to me, like, again, the timing is hilarious. And I absolutely love the defense of it's just guys being dudes, a little locker room talk, right? A little locker room talk there. But I mean, let's say, okay, yes, but to me, still the most logical explanation is that, hey, me and this guy had a friendly like $20 wager on it just between us. Like that feels like the most likely scenario.
Yeah.
We didn't go out to set out to like rob Vegas because we had inside info that a player from UCLA wasn't going to play. Like, you know, I don't think, like, logically, I don't think I can get there. That would be crazy. But to me, most logically, it'd be like, hey, yeah, we bet, you know, pizza or drinks for the night on the game. And, you know, and it is what it is.
Yeah. If I'm going to remove my crimson colored glasses here and look at this, you know, from a purely unbiased standpoint, one of two things is true. John Mateer is either the dumbest criminal in the history of mankind and literally put down what he was doing, or he's just a 20-year-old dork like me, except, you know, sometimes I'm a 34-year-old dork and does things like that with Venmo descriptions. I don't know, like, why does Venmo allow you to do that? And why is it public? Why do they treat it like a social media thing? Like, I don't know. You know, I remember it got to a point like a few years ago where I was just bored and I'm just scrolling through like social media apps. And then I had to Venmo somebody. And then I'm scrolling through Venmo as if it's Twitter. And then I see something from, like, it was an ex-girlfriend. And so I saw something like it had been an ex-girlfriend from like a year prior. So whatever. But it kind of made me think, I don't really want to see this stuff. I don't need to know this stuff. You know, I'm no bitterness, no jealousy, none of that. It's just, I don't need to know this information. So then I just made myself private and just stopped using it like a social media app. So it's silly, but hey, this was just a huge sign, gentlemen, that we need football. We need it
badly.
You know, like the Thunder did everybody a solid, I guess not Allen, but the Thunder did everybody a solid, at least in Oklahoma, and made the offseason seem much shorter because it gave us all something to focus on during the early months of summer. But I mean, as soon as the finals end, and they went 7, as soon as they end, it still feels like the offseason's too damn long, even though it was a little bit shorter for people in Oklahoma or Thunder fans, wherever you are. We need football because we're doing stuff like this. And hell, OU, like, we can't leave this out of the equation, guys. OU fans retaliated and they tried to go find some receipts from Arch Manning. We don't need to go into what Arch Manning said, because he also is just a 20-year-old dork. It's fine. He will learn from that. And as he ages, he will look back on it and go, like, that's embarrassing that people know that, because that's, you know, whatever. I don't want to represent myself that way. But even still, I don't think there's an NCAA rule against that. So stop trying to put it out there that he needs to go to jail too. You know, hey guys, Arch Manning might suck. Let's just put him in jail on the field. Let's just do it that way. But is there anything else from this story, guys, other than we need football and nothing will probably come of it? Please knock on wood.
No, let's move on.
I can't wait for next week's episode to basically be like, we're doomed. But I guess it would prove my and look, my days of trying to get attention on Twitter are so over, because when I was in sports media, like, you essentially have to try to get attention. There are professional ways of doing it. There are silly ways of doing it, grifting ways to do it. Multiple ways that you can gain attention on social media. That's not breaking news. But because I'm not in that space anymore, I truly don't put something out there with the hope or thought that more than 3 or 4 people might like or retweet it. I'm just, I don't have the name recognition at all. I didn't really in the past when I covered the Thunder, but definitely not as much as like some people on Twitter. But I had no idea that when I just shared my thoughts, which I have been fairly consistent on through the Keyholes run ever since Michael Hawkins has been on campus at OU. I had no idea that when I quote tweeted a scrimmage highlight video where I'm like, I'm excited for John Mateer, but there's something about Michael Hawkins tells me that he still has a part to play, was going to go all over the place and go like 1,000 likes and stuff like that. And I had people like arguing with each other in my mentions. It reminded me of the old days. Look, people, I like Michael Hawkins Jr. I also appreciate that he stayed in an era where everyone leaves for legit reasons and dumb reasons. He had a legit reason to leave and he chose to stay. And so I appreciate his loyalty to the program. I also was at the Auburn game, so I have a little bit of a soft spot for him. That was a tough environment, and that dude is tough as shit. And every time I hear Auburn people say, well, Jackson Arnold sucked because the situation was bad. The situation was worse for Michael Hawkins Jr. because he was a true freshman. So, yeah, I kind of think from a narrative standpoint, Michael Hawkins Jr. might have something to say with OU's football success in the future. I did not mean that this year, maybe a package or two, that would be great, but I do not think this year. But it is nice to know that in the event that John Mateer, God forbid, he gets a concussion and is out for a game, I'm glad Michael Hawkins Jr. is here. So thank you to everybody to make that tweet go big. I don't want to say viral, but I must say, Alan, I was a little nervous considering this whole John Mateer thing went off last night. I'm like, oh God, is Michael Hawkins about to be the starting quarterback for this season? I like him. I don't know if I like him that much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that Hawkins actually could do some nice things under Arbuckle. I mean, I really do think that what I've seen, his skill set is, and the way he plays, I mean, there's definitely something there. Not right now, I'll give him. I'll gladly give him another year to kind of marinate there, maybe even 2. I don't know, but yeah, no, I mean, OU's prospects would certainly change quite a bit. I feel like with Michael Hawkins taking snaps this year instead of John Mateer. No, I would be interested. I think the year before, I think Cam Ward's last year at Washington State, I think they had some like 2 QB packages that they used Mateer and Cam Ward at the same time. That kind of stuff's interesting, right? I mean, Hawkins is enough of a, I mean, I think he's shown that he can throw it and can run it well enough to, come in and create some real issues there if they're running them both out there at the same time. But no, John Mateer is QB1.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for Michael Hawkins last year was he was actually really good at doing what he was told. And I mean that with all due respect, because he's a true freshman. He wasn't supposed to be sniffing the field last year at all. And it was very clear when he was asked to do things, he would do them. He would try his best. I will go to my grave thinking the part of the game plan for the Texas game was if that first read isn't there, you do not throw. Because the last thing we want is for you to throw a pick. And I guess that could have been the right philosophy considering all things. But at the same time, I'm like, if you want to keep him, don't torpedo his confidence in this way. And then people in my mentions kept bringing up the South Carolina game. And I'm like, if you want to blame him for that, I mean, be my fucking guest. That was that was Seth Luttrell's fault and Joe John Finley's fault for like, yeah, Bauer, go block that guy, despite the fact that you could probably barely block me. So whatever, he's the backup quarterback. I'm glad he's the backup quarterback. Glad he's still with OU. So we're good. John Mateer is going to be the starting quarterback and win the Heisman. We all know this. Switching gears slightly because we won't have to spend that much time on this part. But we would be remiss if we didn't mention that Jake Krull, who is a 5-star on ESPN, but he's like a 4-star, like on On3 and 24/7. Am I correct, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could call him like a consensus 4-star.
Okay. And he's a 4-star consensus wise because he's a little undersized. Is that why?
That seems to be what, yeah, kind of the scouting report broadly says. Yeah.
Okay. But on ESPN, he's a top 25. I think he's the 22nd ranked player overall in the country. So he's OU's highest recruit, commit as of right now, 2026. He announced earlier today he picked OU over Texas and Ole Miss, the talented edge rusher from IMG Academy, which is where Jaden Jackson and David Stone went. So, there's something good in the water down there in Florida, I guess, whatever. Guys, this is just, it's something that OU fans needed, especially after last night. And it wasn't just the John Mateer shit. It was, what's his first name, Matt? His last name's Gross. Davion Gross?
Yeah, Davion Gross.
Davion Gross, a receiver who seemed, by all accounts, and I'm not trying to insult the recruiting insiders, but if you listen to the other podcasts, like I'm sure you all do, like we do, everybody it was like a foregone conclusion he's going to commit to OU and like at some point. And I guess the last second Florida swooped in and just said, here, take this. And I guess we're to assume that was over the amount Jim Nagy and OU were willing to pay for his services. And they were like, go with God. And he chose Florida. So I will say this because, again, I'm not plugged in. So maybe he's like fully 100% shut down my recruitment. I'm not even going to look anywhere else. I want to go to Florida. If you're going to lose a recruit in your OU to a school, let it be Florida because Billy Napier has a hotter seat than Brent Venables somehow. So in the event that Florida goes south and OU does what we hope that they can do, they're going to lose some commits themselves. And maybe Davion Gross looks at what OU is doing and says, hey, you guys, what y'all been up to? So who knows? Because I think Josh McCuistion's already mentioned that OU is going to actively try and reach out to some players that have committed elsewhere verbally. But once the games start being played, if they have the success, they'll probably like, hey, you sure you don't want to come here? So, but again, we're not a recruiting podcast, but Alan, is there anything that you took away from OU getting one of their 2 or 3, like true on paper, truly great recruits for this upcoming class? Is better than nothing because, I mean, Bo Bentley was just kind of sitting there all alone by himself and until Jake Krill made the announcement today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, it just continues to kind of, shine a spotlight on the way that OU is attacking recruiting in the trenches. Now, I mean, we can look at numbers, what have you, but I mean, there's no denying that OU's, some of their biggest recruiting wins have been, there on the defensive, offensive lines. This is a huge one, I think, in terms for all the reasons that we mentioned. And, Cruel is a player that, by all accounts, the OU staff and Jim Nagy were quite high on coming into this process. So, I mean, that part of it is, I mean, it's one area where Brent Venables does seem to be, making a lot of headway. You hope that it kind of starts spreading to some of the other positions.
Miguel Chavis, man. I obviously Ted Roof was like the big hire initially on Brent's first staff. And then Jeff Lebby, of course, I think all of us, including Peyton, we understood why that hire needed to be made, but none of us really liked it. But Miguel Chavis was to me, like the big question. He hadn't coached before, young. Is he too Dabo Swinney goofy, or is Brent able to like mold him more into like a, it worked. Dabo Swinney works for Clemson and that worked fine, but we're trying to do something different. Like what's going to happen here? Is he just a young guy who can recruit well, but the development just won't be there, or vice versa for some weird reason? But I mean, damn, Chavis has just it's been Josh Bates and him, right? I mean, Jeff Lebby, of course, was successful. He had good offensive numbers. What we have our opinions. Other assistant coaches have just been either meh or not very good, in my opinion. But I mean, Chavis, Matt, has been absolute nails, and a big part of like why you're hearing people with opinions who hold a lot of water say things like OU's defensive line, not just because of one particular position, but their interior and even their edge guys, one of which everybody knows about, and the other side being like there's a lot of potential and talent there. I mean, Chavis is a big reason why people were saying that this defensive line could be the best in the entire country.
I'll throw Brandon Hall in there too on staff of
I
guys that are
don't
just recruiting like that. Okay,
Mm-mm.
no, okay,
Oh,
no.
recruiting. I'm talking about just overall performance. I'm not willing to go there with Brandon just yet.
Okay, gotcha. That's fair.
Recruiting's been fine. It's just been development, and the bone I'll throw is he's not been very fortunate with injuries and availability.
That's fair. I mean, Billy Bowman was really good.
Yes.
But Billy Bowman, I think, was going to be awesome no matter what. Robert Spears Jennings, though, is one that I will point to and be like, okay, I'll give Brandon Hall some credit for that. But recruiting wise, I'd throw him in there. As far as Chavis goes, Todd Bates too. I mean, they just, man, I can't really say enough about them right now. And Chavis kind of talked his talk a little bit the other day at the post practice media availability of being like, yeah, this room now is like mostly homegrown outside of Marvin Jones Jr. He's like, everyone else is someone that I've recruited. You know, that we've recruited and everything. So I mean, that's what you want. I feel like that's kind of the blueprint now for like a perfect situation in your room, especially at the edge position of, all guys that I've recruited, all highly rated guys, and some that, you know, we're just some fillers and developmental pieces, and then like a transfer to maybe help with competition or, you know, just bolster that room even more. So Miguel Chavis got to go on right now in that room, and could be pretty special this season with whatever R. Mason Thomas gives you, if he can, you know, sort of capitalize off of the success of last year. And then, I mean, that feels like that other edge spot is just up for grabs, and guys are just kind of fighting tooth and nail to try to get a piece of that. That's what you want.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, what you said earlier, you know, is it's 100% true. I mean, that's the blueprint. Is you want 90% homegrown and then 10% like we got this guy to really bolster, you know, what we're trying to do, to add depth, or to hell, like maybe we can tap into something that other coaching staffs have not been able to get into. So that's the hope with a guy like Marvin Jones Jr. He's got the measurables, he's got the talent, and you want to, you know, maybe you can look at it from the standpoint with him. The other spots he's been expected to be the guy. Well, you're not expected to be the guy when R. Mason Thomas is here. If you can just be, you know, yourself, if that's a good football player, then you got better just by his presence alone. So that is definitely the way we want to go. I mean, Alan, it's a little odd to me, though, odd in a good way, you know, because I want OU to do well. But I mean, the last year, it's clearly been the worst year of OU football since the 90s. 2022, they go 6-7 as well, but I think most people were just willing to kind of like lazily brush it aside. Not OU fans, but like national folk. Like, yeah, they lost Lincoln Riley, they lost Caleb Williams and Mario Williams, and TCU was good, Texas was good, and Kansas State was good. It's like, yeah, no wonder OU didn't have a good season, because then they, of course, bounced back to 10-3 and kind of somewhat right the ship despite our opinions. But this has been the worst year of OU football. And in that year, OU has now earned the verbal commitment of Michael Fasusi over Texas. Was a top 5, top 10 player in the entire country last year, 5-star. And now today, Jake Kruel, who is a top 20, top 25 overall talent in the entire country, 4 or 5-star, depending on what you're looking at, over Texas. Texas, who's been enjoying, you know, the best run of success they've seen since fucking Colt McCoy. And OU, who typically, you know, we're the ones who typically lose out in some of these recruiting battles to Texas because of their war chest. And, you know, it's just the way that it is. But it's just been interesting to me that in this time frame, OU, like their 2 biggest recruits that they just did not want to miss out on, they got. That has to say something about when people question how serious is this administration, this staff, in terms of trying to get the talent to come here. That has to answer some questions.
Yeah, I mean, it has to, right? You know, I mean, who knows why people make the decisions that they do, obviously, right? But I mean, there's a lot of reporting out there, for example, that OU didn't even match the money that Texas was offering Michael Fasusi and still landed him. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but you hear that kind of stuff. Cruel here. I don't know exactly. Again, what necessarily pulled him in, but those kind the relationships part of it, the selling, the OU program to big time recruits, to me that really hasn't ever been in doubt with this staff. I mean, just based on everything that I've heard, about how they operate and read, I think that when there have been issues, there's been stuff, most of the time it's been NIL related from what I can tell. But it's not like OU hasn't also come up with the money it needs for that when it felt necessary. So no, I think it's like I said, it's kind of just a statement to the relationship building they do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I keep moving the goalposts with Brent, like in this era, in the Brent Venables era, I should say. Because I remember after the 22 season, I was on here saying, I kind of feel like this is the only year in OU football history where the recruiting class is more important than what's going on the field, because this is OU. Every single game is important. But because of the weird circumstances of Lincoln leaving and Brent coming in and the quarterback that you lose, all those weird, unique factors that aren't comparable to previous eras, I'm like, I was willing to just kind of look at the season, not necessarily care about it, but say, go get all the best talent you can get on both sides of the ball so we can reload this thing as quickly as possible. And it seemed like that was the way that was going. However, with what's going on right now, just like all of us fans that want football, OU's recruiting class just needs the football to be played, because Brent is a very good salesman, because he's had top end talent players commit without OU succeeding. This has been the worst year of OU football, and the recruiting class kind of reflects that. But I think we all kind of believe that if OU starts winning games, they might flip a guy or two. And really, you just kind of eat this class and then look forward to 27. And then that's where you really start to just get back on track from the recruiting standpoint. So to me, I look at it from both ends. One, OU deserves this class because they sucked last year and that's their fault. And number two, it's easily correctable. Just go out there and win games. So, I mean, last bit on the recruiting part, guys. I mean, do you guys look at it? Have you guys been looking at it that way or similar, or have you just seen this as, no, this is an absolute red flag?
I don't see how you can call it a red. I mean, we see this. OU fans are not accustomed to having a coach on the hot seat. This is how this works in a lot of cases. I mean, it's just there's no certainty there as in terms of what you'll necessarily get next year. And my theory has always been that the reason Brent Venables got that contract extension before last season was because they were concerned that it might be a down year and they needed to make a statement that Venables would be there, so that for recruiting purposes specifically. But no, I mean, this is just the way it's got to be, and you got to eat it for a class. And if Brent, if OU rights the ship this year, I mean, Brent will be going into the next class with the wind at his back.
Yeah, I mean, I said it. Earlier today, I think we said it earlier. Brady joined the show today. Thank you. Shout out to Brady. But
yay!
But I mean, yeah, just it's the name of the game in college football in literally every single aspect. Just win, and everything takes care of itself. Everything else takes care of itself. It sounds very simple, but I mean, yeah, if OU, I think you even said this earlier, Brady. If OU's 5-0 heading into the Cotton Bowl, then yeah, there might be something. And John Mateer's looking good. Offense is rolling.
They've probably flipped a guy or two by that point.
Right.
I don't know who. I'm blindly assuming, just based on that's how this would typically go. But maybe I'm completely wrong.
No, I'm 100% with you. I think that's a really good point. I just yeah, the offense is humming. Defense looking good. OU's looking good heading into Dallas, and then, I'm sure there's gonna be some circling back from Jim Nagy and the entire recruiting staff.
That's all true. But again, winning games is hard. It was really hard last year. And I mean, we're just kind of sitting here assuming 5-0, 4-1 at the worst, going into the Cotton Bowl, but got to go out there and do it.
Look really good before the Texas game on. I think that's really important too, before that schedule really ramps up.
I mean, imagine the meltdown if OU is 6-0 after the Texas game, and then they go to South Carolina and lose. I mean, we won't know what to do because we would have gone from like one extreme to the other in too short of a time frame, and it would just be too much. The no cap recap on Patreon would be a can't miss episode, which again, patreon.com/through the keyhole. Offensive line. I mean, the true like influencer of this OU team is the offensive line, because John Mateer we're all excited for, and we have a fairly good idea of what to expect. This offensive line has potential. It has a little bit of potential mixed with a little bit of experience. Some of that experience is not very good, but it's experience nonetheless. It's something that they did not have last year. So the floor is going to start from a much higher spot than it did last year when they rolled out against Temple, and they had, 2 or 3 guys injured anyway. And they even rolled a guy out there that had a broken arm and didn't play the rest of the year almost. So things are looking up. And then Bill Beadmo comes out, talks for about 10 minutes to the media the other day, and says a lot of exciting things about Ben Arbuckle. He even said things about Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje about how they are going to play. Whether or not they're going to start is what they'll find out in the next few weeks. So, Alan, I'll start with you on this one. I understand, and I don't necessarily think I would tell someone that they were wrong if they hear that, if they're a not OU fan or non-OU fan, and they hear, oh, you're playing 2 true freshmen, that ain't good, because we're all kind of saying the same thing about Texas' offensive line, considering they just lost a starter for the entire season, and they lost a lot of experience and talent already as it is from last year. So they're going to be relying on a bunch of unproven, inexperienced talent. So you can't have it both ways where you're kind of like ha-haing at their misfortune, but then like gushing at the potential of Fasusi and Foje. So, I mean, which is it? I tend to look at it from the standpoint of, if Bill Beadmo thinks that they're ready to play, they must be really damn good, and their recruiting hype must be pretty accurate. And if that's what you have, at the very least, as a depth piece on your offensive line, that has the makings to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's where I kind of fall on it too. I mean, think about some of the guys who have played as freshmen or played young. The one that comes to mind immediately would be Anton Harrison, right? And first round pick with leaving drafted early. I mean, that's hopefully what we're talking about here with these guys. I look at it as particularly like for Foje, right? Because he's getting a lot of talk at the guard positions. And I think that OU's actually fairly well set up there with, I mean, you've got people like, Fabechi Wiwu and Heath Zaida, and those are 2 guys who they didn't exactly set the world on fire last year, but I mean, they played a lot of snaps for you. They've got a lot of experience there. They've proven themselves to a degree. And, Eddie Pierre-Louis is another one. I mean, if Foje is working himself into that mix, it shows that he's, good enough to be competitive there. Fasusi it sounds like maybe getting a chance to really kind of show what he can do with Jacob Sexton on the shelf a bit. But, I still think that, kind of the way the roster sets up, I mean, that would still be an example of him not being given the job so much as taking it or winning it. And again, I think that's a good thing.
We're just all counting down the days till we see Michael Fasusi go up against Colin Simmons, right? Right?
Yeah, man.
Oh boy.
Simmons is
that guy is a monster.
Dude's freak, man. Respect.
This is the fastest kid alive.
I wanted him. There's a reason I was like, this sucks. I hate this recruiting battle because like I remember there was a time where it seemed like, oh, you might have had a really good shot at him. And I thought, oh no, because if I get my hopes up,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to work out because he doesn't just go to Florida or Georgia or Bama, and we have to worry about him like once out of every 3 or 4 years. He's going to go to Texas. That's not fun.
And
It's
just a
not the way it should
monster.
be.
Monster.
Yeah, he's awesome. But I mean, Matt, I tend to think that John Mateer will be himself. He'll be good. That's his floor, is that he's a good college quarterback. His ceiling is much, much, much higher than that. I tend to think that OU will find 2, 3, 4 guys that can run routes, block downfield, and catch the football. Will they be Mark Clayton? I don't, no, maybe not. Does that matter? No, because OU has won a lot of games and championships with non-NFL receivers, in their receiver room. So it's possible. To me, Matt, it's just this team will be as good as the offensive line, or as good as the offensive line is. And what is imperative is that you need to figure your shit out, Bill. I know this isn't easy. You need to figure it out by week 2 against Michigan, at the very latest Auburn, because we all know what the schedule is. So, I mean, how do you look at the offensive line and how it influences OU's fortunes this season?
No, I mean, I think it's the biggest question mark. Like, that's the biggest question that needs to be answered, is the offensive line. I'll give Alan a huge shout out. He basically did a segment of our show for us the other day. I read his article about the offensive line. Obviously attributed it. Obviously said, "Hey, everyone, go to keelpod.com. Check out Alan's writing." But I mean, that's just baffling stats from last year. I mean, just truly baffling, especially when you just lay it out like you did on keelpod.com. But man, I don't know. To me, it's the biggest question mark, because there are familiar faces from an offensive line that gave up 50 sacks last year. And it was just not good enough. But I think there's enough new to where you could have some different expectations, right? Because we didn't see a whole lot of Eddie Pierre-Louis last year until like the very end of the season. That's another guy with another offseason of developing physically more after being a true freshman last year. So like, that's another new face that is, sticking out. Obviously Foje and Fasusi, who Bill Bedenbaugh himself said he's never had guys that talented that young before. Like, and there's been some really good offensive linemen underneath Bedenbaugh. So that'll get you excited. But I mean, too, like, Hito Zaida, who is still crazy to me reading that stat, Alan, of that he got the second most snaps
Crazy,
out of anybody.
Right? Unfreaking believable.
Just
you think he was probably like, please, I don't want to no
Please
more.
But even then, like, it's second most, and I think it was 64% of the snaps.
Yeah,
I think
still
that was
not a high. Yeah, it's still not a high share at all.
Just crazy. But I mean, that's what I'm saying is, like, there was just so much. There are familiar names that are in contention for the offensive line this year, to where that makes my head kind of tilt and be like, I don't know. But then you realize, like a Logan Howland, a Heath Zaida, those guys, they got a little bit better towards the end of the year. Are they going to go win a Joe Moore Award or any Outland trophies? Probably not. But they were doing fine. And Eddie Pierre-Louis came on late. And then if everything that everyone's saying about Fasusi and Foje is true, then I think my main thing, or my main like question, you mentioned Bill Bedenbaugh. I'm already preparing myself for tinkering with the offensive line until like Auburn, until like the Auburn Texas game. I'm fully prepared, because that's just what he does. My main question mark is, can he make some decisions that maybe he needs to for the betterment of the team, rather than, hey, Fabechi, I'm sorry, thank you, you did a lot for us last year, but our two best guards right now are Eddie Pierre-Louis and Ryan Foje, or some mixture of the two. Can he do that? Can he be like, hey, Jacob Sexton, I'm sorry, you've been injury riddled throughout your entire Sooner career, and you're feeling good, feeling healthy, but man, this kid Fasusi, like, he has it. Like, we got to play him. Like, will he be able to make those decisions, or will it be, hey, I got to trust the upperclassmen? I don't know.
Yeah. What do you all think out there listening? So go to Spotify and let us know. I mean, are you confident that if OJ and Fasusi play, it won't just be a situation of like this is out of necessity because OU's offensive line has been in shambles for the last year? Or do you welcome it? Like, are you excited about that prospect? I mean, I am. I think that they're as good as advertised. And if they're as good as advertised and Bill Bedenbaugh agrees, I've been critical of Bill, but I'll never sit here and say that he sucks at his job or he doesn't know what he's doing. Like he knows exactly what to look for in young offensive linemen. And if he sees it in them, then I'm like, who am I to disagree? So Spotify, you can leave questions and comments on all of our episodes. And we've had a lot of great back and forth with our listeners. We greatly appreciate that. Both the good comments, good questions, and the mean ones, because you can't live in a bubble too long. So we appreciate everything from all sides of the spectrum. We appreciate that. So Spotify for that. And I'm a bad host, Alan. I don't think I mentioned keyholepod.com at the very beginning, but Matt did a good job and picked that one up. So yeah, keyholepod.com for blatant homerism. That is Alan Kinney's weekly column. That's the free site. There's no discount code necessary for that one. Like on Patreon, you can go of your own free will, and we will be churning out more and more articles, more and more things for you to read on keelpod.com as we get closer to the season. Peyton will be adding some stuff to the repertoire on keelpod.com as well, so we're looking forward to that. Yeah, I want to do one little thought exercise for you to see where it could potentially spiderweb. I want to give you 3 players, and not John Mateer and not Kip Lewis and not R. Mason Thomas or anything like that. 3 who really haven't done much up to this point. One of them kind of has, but hasn't gotten the opportunity to do more. Maybe we'll get to that later. But I wanted to ask you guys, of these 3 players, if you can guarantee one of them has the best season, which one do you like? Which one of these guys would help OU result in better team success, if that makes sense? So Matt, I'll start with you. So you've got Deion Burks, Michael Fasusi, and I'm going to cheat a little bit because we all know who the backup running back is going to be. It's going to be Javante Barnes, but I'm going to combine Taylor Tatum and Xavier Robinson because, frankly, we have no idea what DeMarco Murray is going to do week to week. So Deion Burks, Michael Fasusi, and whomever it is between Taylor Tatum and Xavier Robinson, if you can guarantee one of those guys is awesome this year, which one do you think leads OU to more team success?
No, I think Fasusi. I think if you have a left tackle spot that's just a stud,
really,
if you have a left tackle that's just a stud, this is kind of cheating too because I do think Deion Burks is going to be pretty good. But I mean, if you give Mateer blindside protection, that's just awesome. Yeah, I think I would go with that every single time. But yeah, so Fasusi, my answer. I have belief in Mateer and the wide receivers, like we talked about, of just like at least the wide receivers being solid. Wouldn't say that they're going to go win a Blitnikoff, but I think that they can be solid. So yeah, if you give me a choice with taking a badass left tackle, I would take that 100 times.
Okay. And Alan, like for you, of these 3 players, if you can guarantee one of them is awesome, which one do you or team success? So it's Deion Burks, Michael Fasusi, and whomever it is between Taylor Tatum and Xavier Robinson. And if Deion Burks is great, that probably means that John Mateer is having a great season. If Michael Fasusi is great, it probably means that the offensive line is, 2023, I won't say 2018, 2016, like that level of good, like late 2016. So some of the better OU offensive lines. And if Taylor Tatum and Xavier Robinson, whomever it is really good this year, I mean, imagine the 2 back sets with them and Jade Knott. So those are just some extra thoughts for your potential answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost always going to lean towards the offensive lineman in this kind of scenario, but since that's what Matt said, I'll go with Burks. OU needs a reliable slot. I mean, in this offense, and I think maybe they can get that from Isaiah Satania, and you can move Burks around some, maybe play him inside and outside some. But that I'll go ahead and say Burks because I feel like he's got a chance when he's right. I think he's got a chance to be a really, really dangerous playmaker with the ball in his hands. So I'll go that way.
I think I'd tend to lean with Matt because, and again, Alan, that was what you wanted to say. So you did everyone a solid and play devil's advocate with yourself. It would be great if Deion Burks is, I mean, an exciting level of talent. Maybe he is. Maybe he will be in this new system with a better quarterback. Maybe he will be. But I mean, the correct answer is you want a stone wall of a left tackle that can stop a Colin Simmons, or win battles against a Colin Simmons and give your offense a chance in hostile environments. That's why Fasusi's the correct answer. But I guess I'll play devil's advocate and say the other one because I think that there's something to be said, especially in the SEC, the physical meat grinder of a conference that it is. If you have 2 or 3 guys that can scare a defense just with their legs, just taking off and running, because OU's got 2 of them right now. Jade Knott, the big question for him is he healthy? If he's healthy, then he's proven enough that, yes, he's really good. John Mateer, the same thing, durability. Can he do this in the SEC with his legs? But if you have Xavier Robinson to go along with that, the 2-back sets, the possibilities, the energy level wearing down in the second half, and you just hand it to Xavier or hand it to Taylor Tatum, and they're just as explosive or they're just as physical or they're just as good from an offensive standpoint, that to me seems like that's the typical blueprint of a great SEC offense, is not just one back, but multiple backs. So I don't know. I want Xavier Robinson to be a thing. I believe in what I saw last year. I just hope that his assistant or his position coach agrees with that. But I'm excited for Jade Knott. But yeah, Michael Fasusi, that's probably the correct answer because we all need the offensive line to be good. The last thing before we get out of here and Peyton takes over from here. So again, stay tuned to that, guys. Speaking of Alan's writings, he did put a Patreon post up a few days ago where he predicted all the conference champions, the conference championship games, and the conference rankings for the Power 4 conferences. So, Alan, I didn't want to really take the wind out of your sails, so I'll let you do the rest from here, and then we can just bounce off from your thoughts. Because at least with one of them, I was like, that's definitely not what I've been listening to on these other national podcasts.
Yeah, I do this every year. Before the season starts, I try to I keep some power ratings that I use to generate these, and then kind of also look at maybe some situational stuff or whatever. I mean, I kind of joke around, like a lot of the sophisticated process really just boils down to how I'm feeling at that particular moment when I click whatever for a win or loss. So I went through. We can go through. I do all the power conferences, and one of the things that I found is these conferences are so damn big now. There's so many opportunities for like just huge log jams record wise, and so much kind of comes down to who it is you're playing. I tried my best to figure things out using the different tiebreakers, but I mean, it's hard when you've got I think, for example, here, we'll start off with the ACC. I had 5 teams tied for first place in the conference.
Yeah, you had a convoluted tie to get Miami into the championship game. Shades of the 2008 Big 12 South race.
Indeed. Somehow Miami got in there, but then I've got them falling short to SMU. So, whatever shenanigans Jim Phillips pulls there, I think the Ponies go back to the playoff. I feel great about this one? No, but I mean, the ACC just looks like a lot of kind of meh teams to me. I'm more of a Clemson skeptic than a lot of people are too. So
yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that was kind of the first thing that jumped off to me with this being the first conference and just seeing that, oh, you're not one of everybody else who seems to think that this is going to be like Dabo's last hurrah. And what's his name? What's their quarterback's name? Klubnik.
Okay, Klubnik. Yeah.
I mean, he made 4 or 5 really good throws against Texas that I thought that I was even in the moment. I was like, wow, I didn't know he could do that. But he's proven to be kind of jaggish. So maybe just multiple years of being Jaggish will make him a solid college quarterback, I guess. But yeah, everyone seems to think that this is going to be the year for Clemson in the ACC, and then everybody else. And you had them going 9-3 at least, so you don't necessarily disagree. But it seems like Georgia Tech's getting a lot of love.
Yeah, I think that people were really impressed with Georgia Tech last year, and I'd have to look back at my notes from last season on them, but they definitely have an identity. They have all that, right? So I mean I can see them kind of maintain that this year. I didn't think that there was much fluky about their season. I've actually got Clemson. I'll note at 8-4. I because they've got two tough non-conference games in LSU and South Carolina at South Carolina to end the season. So I just, there was a lot, like whenever I watched Clemson last year, it just felt like they weren't really adding up to the sum of their parts. And if you look back at a lot of their wins, I mean, they really needed some fortunate breaks. So I'm lower on them. But next up we'll do Big 12 or pardon me, Big 10. I've got Ohio State over Penn State, and I just don't see.
Bravo.
I don't know. I don't see much that makes me think one way or the other on that one. I mean, that it could be something different. I don't know.
You don't only have Ohio State going over Penn State in the Big Ten title game. You have Ohio State going undefeated. And they lost a lot.
Yeah, they did. But let's
Jim
face it, though.
Jim Knowles isn't there anymore. He was obviously a gigantic part of their success, but they are talented.
I mean, yeah, how much of that was Jim Knowles and how much of it was all those guys that they've recruited, on and on. I kind of lean there, I mean, maybe Matt Patricia can't live up to Jim Knowles, right? And maybe Brian Hartline isn't the offensive coordinator that Chip Kelly is. In fact, I feel pretty confident saying he's not. I just don't think it matters that much because when you look at the rest of the Big Ten, it's what a 3-game schedule really for a team like Ohio State. I mean, these teams in the middle of the Big Ten, they're just. I know people seem to really think the Big Ten has really taken all these steps forward. I just don't see it with. I mean, schools like Minnesota and Indiana and Nebraska. I mean, they're fine, but like these programs, you never see them jump up and catch a team like Ohio State. So,
Alan,
more. Sorry.
what do you think of Oregon in the Big Ten? Because a lot of unknown. Dylan Gabriel gone, Dante Moore, but oh my goodness, their schedule is. I mean, it's at Penn State, and that's really it on the Big Ten side of things. I mean, they get USC at home. I guess at Iowa, if you want to count that as a tough game. I think Indiana is going to regress a little bit, but they get Indiana at home. That is the rest is just kind of filler of the Big Ten. Oregon's schedule is light.
Yeah. I'm trying to look through here. I'll go back and see. So I actually had them losing at Iowa. Let me start off prefacing this by saying for their Oregon right now is going through some stuff in terms of losing players to injury and suspension. And I'm also not really big on Dante Moore. So, I mean, I've got him losing to Iowa. I've got him losing to Penn State. And then I had one more, I think. Yeah. Oh, I have him losing to Washington. I really like Washington's team. Part of that just being, I think I like their coach. And I really was impressed with what little I saw from the quarterback that they're going to have taking over there, Damon Williams. That's a sneaky team. I've actually got Washington, I think, having a pretty good year, something like 7-2 in conference, maybe 10-2 overall. So, but you're absolutely right, Matt. Like the way Oregon's schedule sets up, they can sustain if they can kind of get through the early part of the season and figure a few things out. They could be pretty rough. They could be a tough matchup for teams going later in the year.
I was looking something up, Alan. So you might have mentioned them, but I feel like you bounced around a team that OU fans would be interested where you think they're going to land in the Big Ten.
Yes. USC, the Trojans. I think USC's in for a pretty good year.
What?
I know. I've got them at 9-3 overall, 7-2 in the conference. Um, I just, let me put you like this. I really, really like their defensive coordinator, Danton Lynn. I mean, like, I think he did remarkable work with that unit last year. I think that I mean, it sounds like that Lincoln Riley has actually listened to some of the feedback he's gotten regarding how he preps and uh, preseason practices. I mean, I think it's going to be a USC team that's driven by that defense, which I can't believe I'm saying, but I think that they'll have a pretty good year. Now, we all know, I mean, what that might mean, for Lincoln Riley, what have you, I don't know, but yeah, I'm like I said, I like the defense.
Man, Champaign, Illinois in September, it's eerily similar to Manhattan in November.
Yeah, you're right about that, right? Especially, and
That's
you've
a
got a team it's come from Southern California, right?
Yeah, I mean, here's a 4 game stretch for USC starting in September to November. On the road against Illinois, who is at least ranked. I know they were pretty good for their standard last year, and Brett Bielema is a good coach. Then they've got Michigan in the Coliseum. On the road at Notre Dame, that's a loss. And then we have no idea what Nebraska's going to be like. I mean, where did you have them going, Alan?
I had Nebraska at, I think they
Eight
were
and
like
four.
8-4, yeah.
Okay, if USC's playing an 8-4 quality team on the road and it happens to be in Lincoln in that stadium, I don't know about Lincoln Riley in that stadium. If they're, Nebraska has made improvements like that, that could be a 3 loss or hell, even a 4 losses in a row type thing, and it just falls off the face of the year. I mean, you're right. Their defensive coordinator is really good, but
Yeah.
shocking.
I've got them losing yet to Illinois and also in conference to Illinois and Oregon, and then also losing to Notre Dame.
Man, well, that's just good for the buyout for the people in LA. I'll make an executive decision, Alan, because I don't want you to have to go through all this. I want to entice people to go check out Patreon. So you don't have to go through like an entire conference, but between the Big 12 and the SEC, is there one thing that really stood out to you of like, I thought shocking, I didn't see that coming, or this is something that'll piss OU fans off?
Nothing that I think is gonna. Well, I mean, okay, I'll go. I think Alabama comes back really strong this year. They were last year. I mean, for example, that Vanderbilt loss, they just weren't. That was a very, very lucky game for the Commodores, and they were doing that. I think with kind of a hand tied behind their back with regard to how the quarterback played. They've been really good. Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb. That's been a great pairing. And with Grubb coming back to take over as offensive coordinator, I really think they've got so much around them that they're going to be a pretty formidable team.
So their one loss is to OU, yeah.
I think I had them losing. Let's see here. That's one I think that if you're an OU fan for that night, I think I would strap in for what could be a long one. But no, I've got them losing to Georgia during the regular season, then getting revenge in the SEC championship.
Nice. My dad just told me over the weekend that he's going to the Alabama game. So hopefully for his sake, OU proves you wrong.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tough one.
Again, you can find that article with all the other predictions on patreon.com/thekeyhole. And don't forget, we're doing the discount code use code keyhole for 25% off for the month. We'll greatly appreciate it. We got multiple tiers. So $1, $4, $5, they get you different stuff. I think the $1 gets you the ability to just read. 4 and 5 gets you the ability to watch videos and listen to podcasts that we put on Patreon. So we're getting close to football season, so we're gonna churn out some more stuff for you all to enjoy, and we're excited for that. But anything else, guys, before we get out of here? Has John Mateer Venmo'd anybody recently while we've been recording? That's what he should do.
Still waiting on one.
He shouldn't have gone private. He should have just started Venmoing people.
My Venmo was hacked. I left my phone out.
I mean, the big loser here is PayPal. Ain't no one said shit about PayPal. in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, it's a fair point. The Cash App, this could have been big for them, right? But
yeah, and they're just like, damn it, we need someone to gamble on ours. Oh, well, the world will keep spinning, and so will Through the Keyhole. But for the 12th time, keep listening because we've got about 20 or 30 minutes extra content for you guys to listen to. Peyton Guthrie with the Game on Paper boys, Jack and Akshay, talking all things college football and OU. So look forward to listening to that. Patreon.com/the keyhole, keyholepod.com. Thank you to all of our lovely, lovely sponsors and partners and helpers. Choctaw Nation, Kaizen Performance Gym, Home Field Apparel. And again, shout out to our patrons. Shout out to you, Braylon R., for winning the Platinum Box. Hopefully you enjoy it. Go leave 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave us some questions and comments on Spotify for each episode, and we will get back to you. And if you say something awesome, we'll probably talk about it on a future episode. But guys, we've got 2 more episodes, and then it's game week. 2 more episodes. Well, actually, 1 more episode, then it will be game week. And then after that, the season will have started, and we're very excited. But for Peyton Guthrie, who's not here, Matt Burton, Alan Kinney, and myself, Brady Trentham, who are here, thank you for listening to Through the Keyhole. Until next time, Boomer.
Suitor.
Hey guys, this is Peyton Guthrie from the future, recorded in the past. I was not on the main podcast tonight. I'm heading up to Stillwater to record Tegan Jameson, and number 4 ranked. I think he's a 165-pounder wrestler, collegiate wrestler out of Oklahoma State. We're trying to get some OU boys on this Together More campaign for Choctaw Nation on the main job, but OSU's the one that keeps sending us people right now. But to kind of add some extra stuff, we're in the offseason, we're ramping up. We want to make sure our fan base, our listeners, our supporters have all the information in front of them to enjoy college football in the nerdiest way possible. So to do that, I've got Jack and I've got Akshay of Game on Paper. Jack, Akshay, how are you guys doing? Thank you for coming on. And what exactly is Game on Paper?
Thank you for having us. I really appreciate it. Jack has done a really job doing a little media tour for us ahead of the 2025 season. This Game on Paper, I think we really believe in this as a really good tool, like you said, to make our fans or make college football fans as informed as possible and able to dive deep into the weeds of kind of nerd sicko-dumb about football in the same way that you might scheme. So, yeah, thank you again for having us on. But I think Game on Paper, just to summarize it really quickly, is take ESPN's Gamecast feed and slap on some of these advanced metrics that you might see for the NFL, right? Expected points added, or EPA, win probability that you might see on the little graphic on an ESPN Gamecast feed. But we give that to you live alongside the Gamecast as it's rolling during a game. And then we also have a bunch of other leaderboards, dashboards, so you could slice the dice, the data to your liking. So, really cool project. It's been fun to see this grow over the past couple of years.
Awesome, Jack. Yeah, jump in here, Jack. Introduce yourself. Let's hear that voice.
My name is Jack Purdy. I have no coding ability whatsoever that was required to build any of this site, but I do know how to speak the English language just enough to fit it into a tweet, basically. And so that is where I come in and help get this stuff, kind of help with the background of this is democratizing information, and kind of to help amplify that is to get it actually out there more than just using it as a resource, and less that reaches you, and less being an archive that you have to go find and dig around and something like that. And so it's last year we decided, or at least I convinced actually to let me just put this all over the internet, let me tweet about it, let me share your fun graphs that you make, and let people just kind of dive in on that. And it's been really cool just to have a new way to watch football and to follow the sport in a way. So I go in there, there's a big game where I'm watching along with everybody else. I'm putting up the stuff that's coming off of our site and helping people direct it to hey, this is a very optimal second screen viewing experience. Where you can understand so much more about this game. Even if you don't have to understand X's and O's, but it's pretty easy to understand. Okay, you're converting 61% of your third downs in a good way, or something like that, or your team has a higher value on later downs when you're passing, or something like that. Just just kind of those various little tidbits that are easy to understand, but you can kind of pick it from the eye test, but then stick a value to it. It's been fun to relearn the game in that way, and then kind of help share that with everybody else that's out there that likes to watch along.
So what was like the instigating thing that created Game on Paper? I know you kind of, before we recorded, I think you mentioned about 2021 is when this like really started germinating or really became public for the first time. But what was like I could say the instigating factor again? Were you just watching games saying, man, ESPN themselves aren't doing a good enough job showing us how this game's flowing, or what was the reason?
It's a good question, and I wish our other lead developer Simon was on the horn with us today, because he originally had this idea because he's the one building off of the excellent site collegefootballdata.com's all of their play-by-play data. He and Mayapin Subaya and Parker Fleming built the first expected points and win probability models for college football. And they were playing around with that. And Simon had the idea like, hey, like we should try to tag this to the live ESPN feed. It's like, I'm watching these games. I'm not getting the same experience that NFL people are getting from similar tools that are built by Ben Baldwin and Sebastian Carl and Tan Ho over at the NFLverse, like our counterparts that work on public NFL data. He's like, hey, we need something for this. And he made a couple of attempts. And then I stumbled across the wide world of college football analytics, I think right around 2019, 2020. And later in 2020 is when like we were able to sort of put all these pieces together, right? He had a little bit of the project templated out. I come from a software background. So he has the modeling knowledge. I have the software background. So it was really just sort of like iron sharpens iron in that way. And we were able to put together a proof of concept right before, I think, the playoff at the end of the 2020 season. Use that for a couple of weeks. And then the 2021 season is when we really wanted to go live and have this as a second screen experience for everyone. And like I said, like we've just been adding things that we've seen people ask for and things that we've wanted to see too. And things from other community members too. Like the adjusted EPA per play model that we use is based on some work that Bud Davis did off of the collegefootballdata.com site data. And McKenna Hack also had a little bit to do with adjusting that for our platform as well. And then the fourth down decision-making model is built by Jared Lee. And it was another friend of ours. And in all these cases, right, we looked for public work that had already been done. And we just asked the question, said, hey, do you want to work with us? Do you mind if we showcase this on our site as part of this holistic second screen experience, right? For fans and nerds, even like journalists. Like Jack is looking at this in the booth. We both went to Georgia Tech. He's still covering Georgia Tech every week in the press box. He's been looking at this and sending out screenshots for our blog as well at the quarter break. So it's a really it's just grown so much over the years.
That's awesome. And Jack, you talked about not having the portal. I mean, not having the analytical side of it or the coding side of it, but, kind of managing, getting the word out there, understanding what it should look like, how it should feel. So like, more people like you and me, my assumption is, would feel comfortable looking at it. Yeah. What brought you along? In my day job, we call those, we have BRMs, business relationship managers, and their job is to speak IT to non-IT people and kind of make sure those two connections are being made. So what is it that like you really brought to this, or that's being, what sort of fulfillment is this adding to college football for you?
Yeah. I mean, fulfillment wise, I've always been kind of stuck on the numbers and things like that, but I never was like, I was a guy that liked the engineering concepts, but didn't care to like build them and understand them. Like I went to an engineering school. I was a business major. Like I learned how to do better at Excel, not hard math and things like that. So I like reaping the rewards without doing all the work from it kind of thing. Like I like being able to talk about what comes out at the end product. But I think in the end, it has helped. I feel like I've helped it just in terms of like, having bandwidth to shove this out into the world more than anything. Like the amount of time I have taken to just write a tweet. It's nothing compared to how much work they had to do in the back end to actually make this work and like find all the bugs and things like that. Like I think me and actually work well just because like we both write pretty well. Like we both written for our Georgia Tech blog for years at this point. But I feel like I help bring somewhat of a like, okay, more of a layman's view of this. Like, okay, what does this mean? Like I don't intrinsically understand all these concepts from the get go like he does when he was building this all out, and same at that as well. And so it helps. I think it helps kind of clarify everything for how the site gets used as a full experience. And then we both hear from other folks in our lives that use the site of like how they're using it, what they enjoy from it. They can tell us if they know that there's something wrong with it as well. So it kind of, in a sense, not to use my name as a pun, but jack of all trades. It's just a little bit of just like kind of there's only three of us. So like we've all got to dig in each other's pots a little bit here, and keep the site as I guess as up to date as possible with and as best as it can be as well. Because like the best form of this, when it's running perfectly, it massively changes how you watch a football game with how much more you've got going on in there, and when it tells you a minute later after a player, like it refreshes during a commercial break, it's awesome to have because then you're like, okay, here's where we're at. You can kind of get the idea of what's going on in a game really, really quickly. And a little bit and faster than they can tell you on a broadcast too. Like we don't have ad breaks. There's none of that crap here. It's just straight info. Like it's what you'd want from any other kind of experience watching sports.
Yeah, let's get into that really quickly. You're talking about using it during the game and allowing this to show you more of what's happening up to date in time, in real time. You know, there is no like having to filter through the network or anything. How do you use the site? What does the site show you that you're not getting from just watching the broadcast?
I'd say so. You got two things. One, we have a very good, just like when you go, if you just those listening, just go to gameonpaper.com and you'll see the first thing that pops up is just a really sleek scoreboard, and that thing live updates as well. So it's really easy. I think what we tweeted recently was like you can kind of backdoor your way into a red zone experience if you have access to a lot of channels, because you can see like, okay, what's the current situation? You can see a lot of scores and also the context of those games very quickly because we have like color coding system. Once you actually get into a game, I'll let actually kind of take once you actually click into a game and what that experience is like. So that's where you can get super overloaded with information, or you can kind of whittle it down to the stuff you really want. But I'll let you take that part.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on what you're looking for, because we've got a bunch of different ways that you can slice and dice this data just to tell a better story, especially if you're in Jack's position, talking about the game as it's happening, trying to put together the narrative of the game. There's a lot of contextual or context-based stats that we give you that you might not necessarily find on ESPN, right? ESPN will give you something like, hey, like what was the pass completion percentage? What was the longest pass thrown? What was the longest rush? But they won't tell you, okay, well, like, how did that actually contribute to the team's percentage or the team's probability of winning, right? What sort of impact, what sort of leverage was available in that situation? What sort of edge did the offense have? And, we're able to take those same, play-by-play lines that ESPN gives you on the Gamecast and say, okay, well, like I have the Ohio State Notre Dame game. I think this is the national championship game pulled up here. And so there's a, second quarter touchdown by Quinshon Judkins. It's a 9-yard run for a touchdown. We're saying, hey, like we basically expected him to score that touchdown. It's first and goal from the 9, but it's still a pretty big boost when you actually punch your ticket into the end zone. That's about 2 expected points that's added onto the team's performance, and it actually increased Ohio State's win probability by 8.1%. Obviously, that's a touchdown, right? Scoring events are going to typically be like high win probability jump events, but if you unfurl like our big plays dashboard there, or big plays panel here, like you can see that hey, like that big fumble, there was a big fumble at the start of the fourth quarter. Will Howard puts the ball in, Will Howard throws to Mika Buka for 24 yards, and then he puts the ball on the ground, and it sets up Notre Dame, yes, they're down by 2 scores, but it sets them up in pretty good field position. Yeah, the win probability is low, is super high for Ohio State at that point. But hey, you put basically 3 points on the deck because you were basically in the red zone. But now, hey, you turn the ball over. Now Notre Dame has a chance to march down the field. So, not perfect examples, but you get this idea of, hey, you're able to take these numbers inside the context of a game and draw out these better stories. And you don't even have to watch the game in a lot of cases, right? There's 60 games going on at any time. And Jack is the one doing all the posts for this during a given day. And he's just able to say, hey, like, here's the halftime report. This is how the game is going. And you're able to just pick that up immediately. And then you can pick where you want to go, right? You can just hop right in at halftime you could have hopped right in at halftime to this game and known exactly what was going on. Or like if you say us, the cursed Georgia Tech fan that had to sit through 8 overtimes in Athens this year, right? If you're tuning in right at the end of regulation, you can kind of figure out who's had the better game and who might win out in overtime. Obviously, it didn't go our way, but that's sort of the deeper stories, that's sort of the narratives that you can write with this sort of data available at your fingertips.
It gives an easy way to assign value to an eye test that a casual fan can do as an armchair analyst. Like it gets a simple enough version of like, okay, I think I saw this. I could tell this is important, and this very quickly tells you how important it actually was in the moment.
Right, and everyone has an internal sense of that, right? Like when you explain the concept of expected points, hey, we take situational factors and assign a point value, right? That's like the math version. But if you break it down and say, hey, this is the down, this is the distance, what is the chance of any scoring outcome? Or like think about win probability. It's like, this is the down, this is the distance, this is how much better this team has been in this during the course of this game. It's like not that hard of a concept to explain. And I think to Jack's point about democratization of data, it's like you don't need a math degree, right? You don't need a calculus knowledge or anything. Like we're just, like Jack said, we're just tacking on a number to a feeling, right? Tacking on a number to a vibe that you might already have about a play or an outcome or what have you.
Yeah, the big game. This just kind of helps me kind of put my head around. Was in 2021 down in Dallas, Red River. Oklahoma's getting their ass kicked by Texas. A lot of turnovers, but I never really had. I was me and a couple of friends that were in some group chats. We stayed pretty calm. We're like, listen, we're stopping them on third down. We just keep random shit keeps happening, and then Oklahoma ends up winning that game late because they had a better EPA, they had better stop rates, they were controlling the game. They just kept fumbling and kept throwing interceptions. Now, usually those plays can make or break a team, right? Or make it, team right. Scores more than the other. That's the most important stat. But we could see how, like, if OU would just stop tripping, they're going to be right back in this game. And then at the end of it, they really kind of showed themselves to be not only in that game, and they only won by a touchdown, but in a game in which they probably should have won by multiple touchdowns. I mean, just how they controlled that game. When you look at it under the hood, it's just some strangeness happening on turnovers, stuff like that. So this would be something that'd be very interesting to see. Like, you're just kind of getting frustrated. Like, okay, is this team playing well? Like, what's going on? This is a cool way to kind of put it in a light where I can at least pat myself on the back. Unless OU were to lose the game, then I'm like, well, this sucks. But this does show you an interesting way for OU fans, if you want to go back and look through some of those weird wonky games that OU Texas have played and kind of see how this stuff kind of worked out over the scale of that game or something of that nature. So that is really, really cool. I appreciate you guys, doing that work and putting that in there. This is being tagged on to the end of it, so I don't want to ramble on too long on my side of it. What's the lasting thing that you guys want to have, the Keyhole listeners take away from Game on Paper, from you guys sitting on the podcast today? Is it purely just come check out the website, or what do you guys? What's the elevator pitch to people who haven't checked it out quite yet?
I'd say follow the stuff, because we're on Twitter, we're on Blue Sky, and hopefully helps just educate you better about football. I think more than anything, like we like to be smart about, at least for me and Akshay, we like to be smart about how we're watching football. Like we went to Georgia Tech, like we are a little too rational in our daily lives, probably at times. And so this kind of is a selfish, vain way to keep going into that in a highly emotional sport. But I think, yeah, I mean, it could be. Hopefully, it's a way for everyone to have a just fun way to just have your computer right there, and you're actually getting some extra value out of just having a second screen experience with the sport itself.
I would tack onto that. I wish I could put this in a pithier way, but it's not just smart. Like it's not necessarily like, hey, just using the site makes you better in some way. It just makes you more informed, right? Data is information. It goes into your big pot of vibes and other information and knowledge of the roster and everything like that. Like we're just trying to make that level, like access to data just makes us more informed as a fan base of college football and leads to better conversations, right? We can be, instead of just saying, hey, he threw a pick, that really, like he sucks. Now we could say, oh, no, he threw a pick, but actually it was at the end of the game. They're up by 23, doesn't actually matter. It's just that happens, right? Or with the expected turnovers were super low in that game, just like you said, in that Red River game, stuff just happens. And this gives you a way to sort of track how that happens and find more, find stickier things to hang on to in these kinds of results. And so I think that's what I would say as a parting thing here. It's just like, it helps you be more, game on paper is helping you be more informed and have better conversations about the sport.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you guys for jumping on here. I will challenge everyone who listens to Through the Keyhole. Go check it out, gameonpaper.com. I'm digging around in here. It's pretty cool. You can go back and look at some past games. And I'm trying to find the Alabama Vanderbilt game to see how that really kind of shook out. Because that game did seem like Alabama should have won, but Vandy just had enough to keep doing the jump over the top to get in front of them. But I'll check that out when I get some time later today. But Jack, Akshay, thank you so much for spending some time and answering the call to, again, just like a random DM about being on here after I was made aware from you guys from Red Dirt Sport. Big shout out to Red Dirt Sport. And just thank you guys for making time and jumping on. And we appreciate it. And, you know, good luck this year. I hope you guys pull it off against the Dogs. I mean, I'm an SEC guy now, so I need the Dogs to lose. So make sure you get it done this time, okay?
Oh, we feel ya. We feel ya. It's been a long couple of years. Maybe this is the year. Who knows?
We're hopeful. We're hopeful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Jack JFK. Why does Rice play Texas? Right.
Absolutely.
You got to play them so you can beat them. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much again, Keyhole guys. Go check them out, gameonpaper.com. And let's get a little more educated about how we watch this game. So when Alan and I try to give you guys very level-headed, takes on stuff, you don't scream at us as much. Or you can join Brady and scream at the gods about why they've abandoned OU football. But thank you guys so much again. I appreciate it.